Hi everyone, welcome back to Bowl TV. This is USBC coach Stephen Padilla. Just want to take a second and cover a topic in regards to something that everybody has to deal with at some point, beginner, intermediate, advanced play. Let's talk a little bit about lane play. If you're feeling comfortable with what you already know about lane play, hopefully we can add some more information to what you already know and help you maybe figure them out a little differently. A couple places we want to talk about when we start about talking in lane play are particularly the lane pattern, and in regards to exactly what the pattern's like, the shape of the pattern, which would be the volume and how it's moved around, the length of the pattern, which is how far it goes down the lane, and then also the total volume of the pattern, which is going to affect perhaps which bowling ball you might choose. But overall, in those three categories we're talking about, the shape actually affects kind of how you might play the lane. Oil is applied to the lane with a lane machine that places it in specific board locations in a specific distance down the lane. So overall, the shape of what you would see will really kind of guide your ball to the pocket or to the pins differently depending on where they place that oil. And the shape typically needs you to identify not just where the oil is, but what angles you may need to get to the pocket for that first ball strike, or particularly how you're going to shoot your spares depending on what the shape of the pattern looks like. Now, the length of the pattern is important as well. The length is going to give you an indicator as to how much overall hook you may see on that lane. The shorter length patterns tend to have more overall hook, and the longer patterns would have less hook in regards to how it's applied to the lane. On those shorter oil patterns, you're going to play the lane differently in regards to where you're going to stand. You're typically going to get your bowling ball further away from the pocket or closer to the gutters, whether you're right or left-handed. You're going to start closer to those parts of the lane if you have short length patterns. The longer length patterns are not going to give you as much hook or recovery down lane, so you're going to want to get your ball reaction to go or be closer to the pocket in the launch direction or the direction you choose to start the ball rolling. Now, the last piece of the lane pattern overall is the volume we talked about, and depending on how thick they lay the oil on the lane, sometimes you can get heavy oil volumes or thick volumes that make the ball go pretty far. So in that case, you would want to keep your bowling ball close to the pocket or close to the head pin in your trajectories, but you may also use a different type of surface on your ball. So for higher volumes of oil, we typically see players use stronger cover stocks or more aggressive bowling balls. For lighter or lower volumes of oil, again, you would go the other direction. You might see shinier bowling balls or less aggressive equipment, so to speak. Overall, those are the three basic categories of what we talk about in reference to lane play. And then we would also want to take into consideration what kind of adjustments you might make during these different lane patterns. Two real type of adjustments that we talk about most often, first being what we call major adjustments, and those are going to be moving your feet perhaps laterally on the lane, maybe moving them up and back slightly whenever you're setting up. Also perhaps moving your target as you see fit. So if you need to take, for example, on that different length of pattern, maybe a short pattern, you need to get further out closer to the gutters. One of your major adjustments may be to move your feet and your eyes out that direction so that it gets the ball motion and direction closer to that angle to give you the best shot at the pocket. So the major adjustments tend to be changing your feet, changing your target, perhaps changing your bowling ball and getting the right look or the right shape on the pattern. The minor adjustments, they're a little bit different in that once you've kind of figured out where you've got the best look perhaps to get to the pocket based off the pattern shape and the overall initial setup pieces, the minor adjustments tend to be either changing your tempo or your speed, or perhaps changing maybe how your hand comes out of the ball, so it changes what the shape of the shot looks like on the approach. So the minor adjustments can also include loft. Maybe you throw the ball a little further down lane, or maybe you set it down a little sooner, once again depending on what the lane is telling you as you deliver bowling balls down it. So as a whole, we got a lot of information in regards to lane play, and there's a lot of pieces that go into it. Now, we can't go over every scenario obviously, but we do have a pretty good outline based on what we just mentioned to give you some good understanding of maybe what to do when lanes start to give you a little bit of trouble, or perhaps you're trying to figure them out for the first time. Be sure and check back with us right here in the lab on Bowl TV.